This month I was supposed to make a video about a Saw and failed, but I did buy a Switch 2, so let's talk about that instead. So despite repeatedly saying I wasn't going to, I did actually end up buying a Switch 2. I've made a lot of content on it already. For a quick overview, I did an unboxing, and it looks like a console, and then I did my impressions video of it after having it for a week, and it's okay. I don't think you're missing out on anything by not buying it. You can just wait until some more games are out for it. I'm happy enough playing Switch games on my Switch, and the Switch 2 games that there are at the moment aren't very good. Like Mario Kart's Mario Kart, and the Welcome Tour's fucking terrible. I don't think the new Donkey Kong is going to change that. The game might be good, but I don't think that's going to be enough to sell the console either. There is no game coming out this year, really, that I think is worth buying the console for, unless you were me and you were going to get it for Hyrule Warriors, because all of the other Nintendo exclusives that are coming out that are even vaguely interesting are also on the Switch. I don't really see the point. The wheelchair basketball game, that looks terrible. I'd say that. No. The game itself, maybe it looks fine. I haven't really paid much attention to it. The problem is that I hate using the mouse mode, so I have absolutely no interest in playing it. The game itself might be great, but I hate the mouse modes. With the Joy-Cons, it feels terrible, so I have no interest in doing it. As for why I bought one, I always said that I was not going to go out and buy one. I wasn't going to pre-order one. If I happened to walk into a shop and they had some, I'd get one. So the 12th was mine and my wife's 15-year anniversary. To explain, we've not been married for 15 years. We've actually been married for 10. Well, it'll be 11 this year. But we got married at Christmas. So we don't really celebrate that because it just gets tied up. Because my birthday's that time as well. So it's my birthday, then our anniversary, then Christmas. And they're all just so close together. We go out for a meal, but we don't really do a big deal out of the wedding anniversary. So we make more of a deal about when we got together. So yeah, the 12th was our 15-year anniversary. We went out for the day. We went to the museum and got some food, which was way too expensive. We got 2 sandwiches, 2 drinks, 2 portions of chips. Yeah, that was everything. And it was 60 quid, which is just too much. That is just a ridiculous amount of money. We did not realise it was going to be that expensive. The food was fine. I wouldn't go back. But yeah, so we did that. I think we bought a few other things, we got drinks and stuff during the day, but nothing particularly expensive besides that meal. But then before we left, we had a quick look around the shops, and I just happened to walk into a shop expecting them to not have any. And it's an Argos. So for anyone in the UK, you already know what that is. But for everyone else, it's one of those catalogue shops. So you go in and you pick a thing from a catalogue and then they go get it for you. So you can't see the stock, but they have stock checking machines. So if you know the code, you can go up and type the code in and it'll tell you. So I was like, well, I'm here, I'll check. So I went over and typed the code in and it just said, see a member of staff. So I walked over to the members of staff and said, do you have a Switch 2? And they said, well, go check the machine. And I was like, I did check the machine. It told me to come and ask you. And they were like, what? And I was like, yeah. So they went over and yeah, the machine says that. So then they had to look it up on the system. And they were like, we've just had a delivery of 4. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm buying a Switch 2 then. So it was the Switch 2 with Mario Kart, because otherwise I wouldn't have bought Mario Kart. If it hadn't been the Switch 2 with Mario Kart, if it had just been a Switch 2, I wouldn't have bought it at all, because there was nothing I wanted on it, really. But because it was a Switch 2 with Mario Kart, I was like, okay, well, I might as well. And my wife likes Mario Kart, especially a lot more than I do. So we ended up buying it, and then I spent most of the time just talking to the members of staff about how expensive it was, honestly. We didn't go home straight away, because we went to the new house, because all of my camera gear was there. That's when I filmed the unboxing. And then I brought that home, and again, that was on the Thursday. I didn't even turn it on until the Saturday because I just didn't care. I only even turned it on the Saturday because I was like, well, I know I want to make videos about it tomorrow because I wanted to do Mario Kart for my video and Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour for my video. So I was like, well, I need to get it set up, so I might as well set it up. So I recorded me going through the setup process, bought the games, installed them, had to go on my Switch 1 because you can't play Switch 2 games if you own a Switch 1. You can't play a Switch 2 game on a Switch 2 if you own a Switch 1 and haven't set up virtual game cards on your original Switch, which just seems stupid to me. I mentioned this in the impressions video I did. I kind of get it for actual Switch games, but for a Switch 2 game, I can't play that on my Switch, so there is no purpose to it. It doesn't help. I think the only benefit to owning the games digitally for me is that I don't have to get up and change the cartridge. And outside of that, I don't care. I would rather have the games physically. One of the reasons why I actually waited a few days was because I was trying to get hold of a Switch 2 Pro controller, and my wife managed to find one while she went out. She went out on the Saturday morning and managed to find one in a shop. And the weird thing is that she found one in an Asda, which I only mention because if you look on the Asda website, it didn't say they had Switch 2 anything. And I've been in other Asdas, and they didn't have Switch 2 anything. but this one that she went to did. So I ended up with a Switch 2 Pro controller, which does actually feel really nice. Of all of the Switch things, my favourite thing is the Switch 2 Pro controller. It's too expensive, as with everything with this generation so far. But yeah, it feels a lot nicer than the original Pro controller, and I already like the original Pro controller. It's a very nice controller. It feels very smooth, both in terms of like the stick movement and the actual body of the controller itself. They're both very smooth and very soft, and they feel really nice. I mentioned as well that I thought the back of it was silver, but it's not. It's just grey, which is fine. I guess it will hold up better over time. Like, it won't look all shitty when you're getting your fingers over it, but I was expecting it to be like a chrome finish, and it's not. The buttons are all okay. They make a big deal out of them in the Switch 2 Welcome Tour, but yeah, I couldn't tell you I noticed anything majorly different. They just feel kind of okay. They feel fine. They're not great, they're not terrible, they're decent buttons. The grips are in a good place. I think of all the controller grips I've used, those are my favourite grip buttons. But yeah, so I played those games. I made the unboxing video on the Thursday. Then the Thursday after, I made my impressions video of it. And then on the Saturday after that, I finished Mario Kart and the Switch 2 Welcome Tour. Switch 2 Welcome Tour I've like actually finished in that I've not done everything. I've done everything except one minigame, but that's because to play that one minigame, you need to get medals in every other minigame, and the minigames are fucking terrible. So there's like a medal for passing the minigame, and a second medal for doing well in the minigame, basically. And you have to get like 2 medals in basically every minigame to unlock the final minigame, and most of the minigames are so bad that I just don't want to. And also, the last minigame that you unlock is just another bad minigame anyway. It was another version of a minigame I already disliked. So I don't want to. There is exactly one good minigame in it, and it's a minigame where you use one controller to walk around and the other controller in mouse mode to aim and shoot at balloons. And that is the only minigame I actually found fun. And even then it wasn't great, but that's the closest I came to having fun with that game. I'm just getting angry again thinking about it. It is honestly one of the worst things I've ever played. With Mario Kart, when I say I've finished it, what I mean is, I've completed every Grand Prix and every knockout tour, and like hit the credits. There's definitely more I could do, and I may go back and do more, but I'm not big on Mario Kart anyway. Like, I didn't unlock mirror mode, I just went through all the stuff, and like, I enjoyed it enough, and I didn't do a lot in the open world, because of what I did do in the open world, I just found myself getting bored after a couple of minutes. Like, I'd play it for maybe like 10 to 15 minutes in the open world, do like 1 or 2 of the challenges, and I was just like, yeah, I just don't want to do this anymore. So I did enough that I'm happy, well, not even happy, because happy would imply that I was glad that I bought it, and I'm not. I'm okay with where I finished. I saw the majority of the content, and I hit the credits, and I'm done. Like I say, I could go back and do some more side stuff, but like, that's where I'm at with those games. Debating getting Donkey Kong, it feels like a waste to not buy it, because I've got the console, but at the same time I don't know how much I care. Also, it's expensive, because everything's expensive now. It's fine, but it's too expensive, and I don't think it's worth it. I feel like if I had more disposable income, I'd care less, but especially because of like buying the house and everything, a lot of my money's just going into the house. While I can still afford to buy it, clearly because I did, it doesn't feel worth it to me, now that I've got other things I should spend money on. But it's like, right now, I've spent £500 on this console, with 2 games, both of which I finished in less than a week, and it's now still like 2 more weeks until another game comes out for the console, and I'm not even sure I'm going to buy that. Like, the only thing I'm going to do, I know I'll do now, is that like, Pokemon is coming out on the Switch and has a Switch 2 version, so I'll buy the Switch 2 version, stuff like that. But if I hadn't bought the console, I still would have bought the Switch versions of these games. Like, right now, nothing's changed for me, and I don't think it's worth it, and I don't think you're missing out at all by not having one. I don't know, wait until I think it's worth it, and then buy one yourself, if you care that much. So I was actually thinking about putting this podcast off a little bit again, and recording it really late, because Death Stranding 2 comes out tomorrow, so I would have liked to have talked about that a little bit. I do find it really weird that there's been, like, so little talk about it this time. And what I mean is, like, there was such a huge level of hype around the first game, and it was, like, pervasive. And then I didn't even know that Death Stranding 2 had a release date until, like, 3 weeks ago. I just find it really weird. And especially because now that it's, like, semi-out, people are talking about how it's, like, one of the best games of the generation. And it's like, I heard so few people talk about it recently. Like, that original trailer I watched, and I was like, yeah, this looks great. And then I didn't watch anything else because that's what I'm like. I was like, I know I'm going to buy it, so I'll just wait. But what I mean is, like, there is a difference between me actively not watching trailers and other people not talking about it, and I've just not heard anyone talk about it. Maybe I've just not been looking in the right places, but it's the same places that were interested in Death Stranding that I'm in now. So I don't know why I've heard so little about it, but whatever. But the point I was making is, I was going to maybe put off doing this until tomorrow night after I'd got my copy of Death Stranding 2 and then record it then, but I won't have time because I've got to record Death Stranding 2 when I get it, so that's just going to eat into my time. But also, I'm out on Friday afternoon, which would be when I'd have to spend all my time editing if I recorded this late. So I just can't. It's nothing even important, but I'm going to be out that afternoon, so I won't be here in the time I would have to be editing it to get it out in time. Maybe I'll throw something in at the end as like an extra section where I just talk about what I've done if I get time to record it and edit it tomorrow night. But I'll see. What else I've done, though, this month is I've played quite a few other games. I've finished a couple of games. I don't always talk about the games that I finished, but I figured I will this time. So I really wanted to play through just a shitty FPS. Like, not necessarily that the game was bad, but, just like something I don't really have to pay attention to. Like, every couple of years I'll buy one of the Call of Duty games and just go through the campaign because I don't have to think. But the Battlefield games were really cheap a couple of weeks ago. So I got Battlefield Hardline and Battlefield 5, I want to say. I'm not sure. One of the others. Just because I'd never done those ones. And I went through Hardline and it was better than I expected. But also because of that didn't really fulfill the itch that I wanted it to. I wanted something I didn't really have to pay attention to and I could just go through. Whereas that one's got like actual like sneaking around missions to do and like you've got to like search for evidence and stuff. So there was actually more going into that than I expected. It got a lot easier as soon as you level up all the way, because once you level up all the way, there was no point in arresting people anymore. Because that game, you play as a police officer and you can like go around and arrest people. But if you're arresting them, you kind of have to play stealth and not shoot anyone. Obviously, that meant I wasn't really getting what I wanted from the game. But once you level up all the way to level 15, then there's no point in arresting anyone anymore, really, because you don't get anything for it. So you can just shoot everyone then. And that made the end of the game go a lot quicker. It was fun. It crashed on me a few times, which was kind of annoying. Also, it's got the weirdest way of launching it, where you have to click play on Steam, at which point it opens your browser, and then in your browser you can click play, and then that'll open Origin, and then that will launch the game. It's fucking stupid. But yeah, I went through that, and that was, like, fun. It wasn't anything spectacular, but yeah, it was decently fun. Then I finished Clair Obscur, finally. I had been playing that consistently since I bought it, but I finally finished that this month. And one thing, people really seem annoyed about my review of it, where I said it's a really good game, but the platforming's bad, and gave it an 8 out of 10. People seem really annoyed at that. I don't know why. I also don't particularly care. I'm just confused. Yeah, I think it's really good. I do really, really hate the platforming, though. The platforming is terrible. Luckily, it turns out that the platforming is basically entirely optional. There is one thing that I thought you had to do to finish the game, and it turns out you don't. You get, like, mild benefits for doing it, but if you don't care enough, you don't care enough. I do find Act 3 really weird. I'm not going to spoil the game at all, but Act 3 is really strange in that when Act 3 starts, you can just immediately end the game. You can just go and fight the final boss straight away. Or you can spend like 20 hours doing side content. There is no real story in Act 3. It is just either finish the game or do all the side content. And it was just weird. It meant that I felt like a bit listless. I just sort of like went around the map and like popped into an area and did some bits, and then once I'd done that, left and did another area, which is fine, but it wasn't really very fulfilling. It just felt very weirdly paced. Like, so much happens in the first 2 acts, and then the third act is just finish the game now. Yeah, I think anything else I could say would be like spoilers. I'll say that I found some of the twists actually kind of predictable. I don't know if that's like... I only say that because I've heard other people say it was like surprising, and I just disagree. I thought it was pretty obvious. I really liked the scenes that were in black and white. They were really good. Like, there's some scenes where, like, they seem like they're dream sequences, but some of them are like that and some of them are not. But the screen will just suddenly go black and white and the aspect ratio will change. And that was just really cool. Like, I really like those scenes. Weird thing is that the game looks way higher fidelity in those scenes than it does in the rest of the game. Not that the game looks bad the rest of the time, but just, I assume it's just the black and white, like, covers up a lot of what would otherwise be more noticeable. So it looks way better in black and white. I did almost everything. I did everything except the secret boss. I did fight the secret boss, but I didn't enjoy doing it enough to want to spend the time to get good at it. I only really got to the secret boss just as it was at the end of the game, and I was like, by that point I was just like, oh, I just kind of want to get it done now. I can go and do it if I feel like it. It's a very specific secret boss. Again, I'm not going to spoil anything, but it's like, it has ways of dealing with it, and most of what I was finding was basically just try and power through it as quickly as possible. I tried it a few times and died, and then I looked up some guides, and the guides were all completely restructure your team. And I don't just mean like equip different skills, I mean like use different characters built in different ways. I'll have to like go and level those up because they're a lower level than everyone else, and like I ended up just not bothering. So like I could if I felt like it, but I probably won't, to be honest. but I did just about everything else. I think I did, at least. Oh, no, that's not true. Didn't do the Gestural Beaches because I hate the platforming. Spoke about Mario Kart and Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour already. Neurodiver's finished. Coming out now, hasn't it? I really liked Neurodiver, which, considering that I didn't like... I want to call it Read Only Memories, but they've used that as the name of, like, the anthology rather than the thing now, so... Because I've always called it Read Only Memories, not 2064. But the first one is 2064 Read Only Memories, and this one's Read Only Memories Neurodiver. So, considering I don't really like 2064, I like the idea of it, but I really did not enjoy playing that game. I actually like Neurodiver quite a lot. A lot of the issues I've got with it are actually more technical than the actual game itself. I enjoyed playing the game. I thought the dialogue was generally pretty good. It wasn't like too slow or weirdly paced or anything. It was just pretty snappy. I liked the characters. They were a little heavy-handed at times. I will say the very final shot makes the main character look about 12. And considering she's supposed to be going on a date with the other character in that scene, it was a bit strange. I think it's completely accidental. But yeah, it just looks weird. But yeah, I liked all the characters. I liked the writing. I liked the art. Like, Swery appears and Suda51 appear in one of the days for some reason, which was surprising. The main issues I had with it, like I say, were like more technical things. Some of the actual writing itself, how do I say it? Not the writing as in like the words being said, but the writing as in literally the text that appears on screen. There was quite frequently spelling mistakes. And then also in the audio mixing, they would quite regularly start talking. So to say, normally, they'd start talking and just get really fucking quiet right at the end of the sentence. And it was mixed in such a way that you would not be able to hear what they were saying, so you just have to read it. Oh, also, one other thing, the similar issue, is that there was a couple of voice lines that, I think the entire game is voiced, or almost. But there were a couple of voice lines where they start so late compared to when the text comes up that I just assumed it wasn't a voiced line. There was one day where the text comes up on screen, I click to progress, and as I'm clicking to progress, she starts reading out the line, which normally they will talk as the text is coming up. So I skipped that line by accident. It's not a huge deal, rather, in terms of video. Like, you still see what's going on and everything, but it just felt strange. So yeah, like, most of my complaints about the game are, like, more technical than they are with the actual game. Like, not with the gameplay, or with the writing, or the art, or the music, or anything. It was all, like, the mixing, and spelling issues, and, like, QA stuff. Just could have done with a bit more time, which I read about. Apparently, this actually got, like, stuck in, like, development hell for a while, which might explain that. Because it is very quick, it's a very short game, which is actually one of the reasons why I like it. I got it pretty cheap, and it was only a couple of hours long, and I was like, yeah, this was fun. I read that some people are annoyed because the characters that reappear from the first game seem different, and I kind of get that. Doesn't bother me because I didn't like them that much. I liked the idea of read-only memories as, like, an anthology series. I honestly would have preferred it if characters hadn't reappeared. I don't feel like I needed any characters from the first game to be in this one. But yeah, like, for the most part, I actually quite liked it. And then the last game that I finished was Bugtopia, which I don't know if I have to mark this entire podcast as sponsored, because it's not, but they did give me the key for that game. And it's one of those collecting games, like Chillquarium, which I really liked, or Croco Loco, which I also liked. I think this might be my favourite. I'm not totally sure, but I think I had the best time with this one. I got everything in it. I think my main criticisms are we could do with either another tank or just a bit more space in the tanks. But even while I was playing, they already updated them to give more space in the tanks, so they might do that. Just because I've got one of every version of every bug except the common ones, and I'd like to have the common ones. There's also, like, a little bit of an annoyance where you will buy a bug and you can feed it to make it grow up faster. But if it's a bug with a cocoon stage, you'll feed it, and then once it hits the cocoon stage, you just have to leave it, which for the early bugs is not really a big deal, but by the end of the game is like just leaving the game for 15 minutes. And I was in a position where the only bugs I needed at the end of the game were cocoon bugs. So I was just like, not buying, but like I'd get a bug, leave it for 15 minutes, check if it was the right bug, then sell it if it wasn't, and then move on. And it just meant that the end game, getting the last bug took me like nearly 2 days just for that one bug, because I had to keep breeding new ones, and then hoping it'd be the right bug, and if it was the right bug, keeping it, and if it wasn't, then selling it, and then breeding again, and then... But they're pretty minor complaints, honestly. Like, it's really good. One achievement is for selling the guide, and I have no interest in selling the guide, so I'm never going to get that achievement, which means I'm never going to get 100% on achievements, which means I don't care about any of the achievements. I generally don't care, but there's only like 3 achievements left, but one of them is sell the guide, and I don't want to sell the guide, so I'm just not even bothering with the others. You can decorate the tanks, which is kind of cool. Can't decorate them as much as I'd like. I'd like to be able to, like, segment them a little bit, but you can't do that. So what I did was I kept my tanks. Each tank would be for a specific thing. So one tank is for land bugs, one is for bugs that walk on walls, one is for bugs that fly, one is for bugs in the water, and then the last tank is just for snails, because my wife likes snails, and I like snails, and there's quite a lot of snails, so I just put all of the snails in one tank. And then, what I did was, there are 18 arachnids in the game, 6 scorpions, 6 orb weavers, and then 6 jumping spiders. Now, the scorpions look fine, the orb weavers also look fine. The jumping spiders are fucking terrifying because they just stare at you constantly. They're like face on at the screen with them like massive eyes just staring at you all the time, and I hate spiders. I'm not gonna like cry, but I don't like them. And just having them stare at me the entire time I was playing, I did not enjoy. But what I did do was, at the end of the game, I managed to organise it in such a way that my spiders are all in breeding tanks. So now I've bred all of the bugs. I never have to look at my breeding tanks, so I just never have to see the spiders. I say this also because there is actually an arachnophobia mode. Well, there's a mode for all of the bugs, but arachnophobia is the one I'm talking about, where it like blurs out the bug, but it's awful. It's just useless. Because what it does is it puts like a pixel filter over the bug, which is not particularly aggressive, so you can still see the bug. It still looks just like the bug. They should have just made it a block colour if they were going to do it. But what it also does is it only does that in the tank. So if you look at it in any of the menus, you still see the bug. So it doesn't help. So I'll just put them somewhere I never have to look at them, and I can just leave it like that now. But yeah, I actually really liked it. I spent a lot of time in it. I spent like 40 hours in it in a week. And considering it's supposed to be an idle game, that's quite a lot. I actually got through a surprising number of games this month. Like, if you include Mario Kart and Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome to, like I already talked about, I think I finished 6 games this month, which is pretty good. I'm actually on track to do 1 game a week at the moment this year. I probably won't get it because the next game I'm playing is Death Stranding 2, and that's going to take me ages. Hopefully I will. I'm going to try and play some shorter games in the meantime on the side. But yeah, that's what I've played. Pretty quick channel update. The sentences, impressions, streams, all that's going to carry on as normal. I think next month might be a patch month, so there'll be more streams if there are, but I'm not sure on that yet. Read Only Memories Neurodiver just finished, so this is a week off, and then next LP will start next week. I already know what that is. I've made all the assets for it already for one, so I'm actually ahead. But I'll start recording that on the 1st, and the first episode I think comes out on the 2nd. Might be wrong. I might be talking about the month after for that for a different thing, but I'm not totally sure, but whatever, it works out some way like that. What's next? Yakuza 5 will end next month, so for that, like I said previously, I'm going to take off until the start of the next month for that, but again, if I'm doing a patch week, that means it will cancel out releases anyway, so it wouldn't matter all that much. I think that's pretty much it. Everything stays normal. New LP starting in about a week, and Yakuza 5 ending this month. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Special thanks to all of my patrons. You can join them over at patreon.com/Holden Gatsby, and for $1 a month you'll get to see what I'm working on early, wallpapers for all of my LPs, exclusive roles in my Discord, and any other rewards I might think of. You can also just follow me there if you want to for free, as it's probably the best place to see all of my content as soon as it's available. There's links to the Patreon, along with my Discord, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, and all the other podcast platforms in the description for this episode. Finally, don't forget you can email me using podencastby@gmail.com if you've got anything you want to say. Thanks for sticking around. Bye. Special thanks to my patrons, Justin Wood, Hobbs, and Koopy Vegeta. You can join my patrons at patreon.com/Holden Gatsby, check out my TikTok and Twitter @Holden Gatsby, and follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Holden Gatsby. Don't forget to subscribe to all of my channels. If you want more, you can watch my last video now, but if not, then thanks for sticking around. Bye.